We're seeing the future. You want to hear what it is? I'm Kelly Wilkniss here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks, episode 379, Trend Forecast 2020. We see what's coming down the pike. We see it.
It's always fun checking on what the trends are and what they're going to be. I do enjoy these.
Yes, episodes. We took out our crystal balls and we rubbed them and we looked and we thought and we talked and we've narrowed it down to some trends that we think some are going to be pretty impactful in people's lives and will continue on. And others might be, sort of the
short-lived.
Yeah, sort of the, owl on your T-shirt or your mantle sort of thing where it's gone. Mm-hmm. And butterflies or something that was last year.
It was like by the time we said it was over.
They flew away. Yeah.
They got scared and flew
away. Don't hold us to it. We're just giving you the heads up.
Some of these are things that we're seeing reported. Some of them we agree with. Some of them we don't. But, we find it's all very interesting information.
Yeah. And it's fun. And it's just fun to know, right? You want to know what's coming. You don't want to be left behind.
Well, it's interesting. I'm seeing more interest in making a room inviting and not so much of a focus on having it Instagrammable. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting?
Them's fighting words, not Instagrammable rooms.
Well, I mean, not that you can't Instagram it, but the focus being on the room being usable and functional rather than having it picture perfect.
Okay.
And I think that's actually, I'm kind of feeling that myself. I'm kind of thinking, let's make sure that what we're doing is working in our homes and not just beautiful.
So true. Because life is not in a little tiny square.
It is not.
No, life is for living.
And I think this
should be comfortable.
I think this has gotten out of hand. That the focus for so many people, and I don't mean not just bloggers, but for everybody. I think people feel like, I can't buy that chair because it's not going to look good on Instagram.
It's so not bloggers. In fact, I think a lot of the bloggers and Instagram people are starting to get more real, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's the people that are just kind of enjoying doing their homes and having followers and kind of enjoying that whole process of building a community on Instagram. I think maybe those are people might be getting caught up in, what we experienced, maybe a few years ago. And don't get caught up in the madness. Choose what you want because you want to live with it, not because it's going to look good. No, don't paint all your walls white because, the minute you do that, everybody on Instagram is going to start doing something else. They're going to have black walls. You're going to be like,
that is the truth.
Now I don't have a wall I like and I don't have a wall that's going to be popular on Instagram. That stinks.
That's right. I mean, and I see people that wait 5 years to follow trends, and by 5 years, it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone.
But not gray. That was a good segue. We didn't even plan that because don't worry, gray is still here.
Yes,
for 2020.
Yes, no, I'm agreeing with that. But I am going to. However, the cooler grays, I think, are shifting more to warmer toned colors with yellow undertones. So the warm grays, I think, always been. It's still very much on trend, but the cooler ones, I think, have had their day. The cooler
yes,
grays.
And part of the reason that is because people say gray, and then people are like, just give me a gray. And they didn't listen to our podcast about undertones, number one. And number two, they would just grab at any gray that they saw and use it in their homes. And oftentimes there were the cold grays, and that is a wrong gray. So yeah, the grays that are going to sustain are going to be the warmer grays.
Right, because those cool grays don't work with a lot of colors and they just feel very cold. So I think that was their problem from the beginning.
Right. So
what are you seeing?
Well, okay, so we got the gray thing out of the way. Let me talk about a few bigger trends that are here, but maybe people are not exactly codifying them into a trend yet, but I think that they will be by 2020. These things are happening and they need to be recognized and addressed in how we decorate our homes. Number one, I think people are tired of working for their houses. They need their houses to work for them. So it has to switch around. And that doesn't mean, hiring gardeners and a staff and all of this. I'm talking about like choosing items, choosing finishes, choosing furniture, choosing things that are going to work for you, not that they're going to add more maintenance. We're just too busy in our lives, right? So all of that, maybe taking out your lawn and doing something different that's more low maintenance. Maybe putting in, raised beds and gravel, something like that, and your exterior. Maybe inside, if you've had a lot of floors you had to deal with issues or something, maybe putting in some wood tile or something like that, something that's a lower maintenance. So I think whatever that might mean for you, there's definitely a shift in people's mentalities. Nobody wants to spend the whole weekend mowing their lawn and trimming their hedges and then going in and then doing inside maintenance as well. Also, people are tending to go to smaller spaces. I think the McMansion days are over.
Yay.
Yeah, I really do. Smaller, more efficient spaces. I don't know what's going to happen to a lot of those McMansions. I'm sure there'll always be somebody that wants to live in them. And hopefully it's people with like 8 kids,
hopefully
not just
people that can afford to keep them up.
Right.
Because they're very expensive.
They're very expensive. Right.
And I have 2 friends that bought very large homes they got a great deal on because nobody wanted them. And now these friends, although they had all this space for their kids when they were younger, now they're in a situation where these are 2 different people, 2 different couples. The houses are in disrepair. And I think they're looking at it and going, I can't afford to update this because it's not just 1 bathroom. It's like 7 or 8. Yeah. And that's just crazy.
No, it really is. And, if you have a big family, or you're having a lot of people coming to visit you all the time, that's one thing. But just to be kicking around in a big space, it would not be for me. And it is just too much to take care of.
No, it feels stressful.
And I'd rather be doing other things.
Yeah, exactly.
And and we're crazy house people. Imagine people who don't even care about their houses that much, and they have all this to take care of. It's a burden.
Well, interestingly, go ahead. I'm going to let you finish.
The last thing is, and I think this is the most important thing, is the fusion between home life and work life. Obviously, unless you're living in a cave, you realize that people are working at home a lot more now than they used to. Even if it's on a part-time basis, maybe they go to an office, 1 or 2 days a week, or they work virtually. And so they're always in their own home. There are so many different ways to literally get the job done these days. And a lot of it involves doing it from your own home. So I think the day of sort of opening up your laptop on the dining room table and then having your stuff spread out, and then having to put it all away or leaving it there and having it look like, just a home office landed in your dining room. I think those days are over. We need to find a way, and homeowners, people who work at home have to figure out, how they can best accomplish both things for so many reasons. Not only just the look, but that's important too, because as we discussed in just our last episode, you don't want to have things in open sight, particularly in your bedroom or in areas of your home where you're supposed to be relaxing, that are reminders of things you have to do and things that might be stressful. You want to have a stress-free environment to the extent that you can in your own home. So I think there are going to be spaces that are really carved out for dedicated home offices. Some people have that already probably, but I bet a ton of people that work at home don't have that. And maybe they kind of move all around. But I think that's inefficient. I also think that it does add stress to the overall household because there's always some reminder of a work project or something going on, something always sort of like your to-do list is always with you. And it also makes it very difficult to stop working because you deserve time to stop working. You don't need to be working 24 hours a day if you work at home, but sometimes that's what happens.
It's so tempting.
Right, because the line is so blurred. So I think the line has to be more of a bright line, and there has to be a dedicated place in the home. And again, you don't have to have a giant McMansion to do this. You can figure out a lot of ways and a lot of places. Even, you remember my story about how I put Peter in a closet? One time when we had a smaller house, that was his office. It was bifold doors. It opened. I had a plank of wood basically put from end to end, hid the cords, and there he went. You opened it up and there was his at that point probably was like a desktop computer and all this stuff. And then I closed it and it was the guest room. But that was a dedicated spot.
There's so many modular pieces you can get at some place like IKEA to kind of build in a workspace in a kitchen nook or some other place in the house where you might not even need an entire room dedicated to being a workspace. It could just be in a guest bedroom or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point, especially because we both work at home. That resonates with me. And I've actually been thinking about going back to the study because I used to always work in the study. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to the kitchen countertop. And then I realized, that chair I have in my office is actually much more comfortable than sitting at the counter in the kitchen. So, yeah, I'm moving that direction.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. You were talking about these kind of big movements, and I'm seeing some movements too. And it's interesting that where you picked up on a few and I picked up on some different ones, but I think it's all kind of, they're all going on at the same time. And the one movement I'm seeing is the sustainability and packing products where it's not using as many packing materials or the recyclable and recycling products so that, we're reusing things as much as possible. So I think this is going to become bigger and bigger as time goes on, as, people coming up who are younger people who are just now starting to buy furniture. It's just more and more as people enter the economy where they're buying things, these people are wanting sustainable products. Mm-hmm. So maybe the older generations don't care so much about it. People coming up do. And so this is something I think more and more the companies are going to be very concerned with. And I think we're going to see more and more of these kind of products. And then the other thing linking with the sustainability is non-toxic materials. I think we're going to see much more emphasis on non-toxic materials. And that's why, for example, we love Aunt Fanny's because these are, something that they're not full of all these toxins that are so destructive to people's health. So I'm really thrilled to see so many products coming on the scene, the cleaning products, and even, for example, organic mattresses. And you think, why do you even care? Because you're not eating it. But the thing about it,
plant, right?
Because that was my first reaction. Like, why do I even care? But if you bought a memory foam mattress anytime recently, a lot of these off gas some horrible fumes that are not really good for you. So it is something to really think about. All of these products. It's not just cleaning supplies, but other things that you're buying for your home. What are they doing to your environment? Are they putting off some sort of toxins into the air? Or, is it touching your food and then contaminating your food? There's so many things to think about. And more, there's so many chemicals that we're being exposed to every day. So I think this is becoming more and more of an issue. And I'm glad to see that companies are taking this seriously.
So true. When you were talking about that, I was thinking about two things. A rug I just purchased for my daughter's room. And, it was just to be like a fun rug. It was certainly not a very expensive rug. But when it came and it was unrolled, the horrible chemical smell that came off it, I couldn't, in my right mind and in any good conscience, put that in anybody's home, let alone my daughter's room. Even when you touched it, it almost had like a slightly waxy feel. Like you almost felt like the chemicals were coming off on your fingers. It was so gross. Now,
did you take it back?
I did. But this is what I'm thinking. Like years gone by, I wonder if I would have just said, "Oh, let me just air that out. It'll be fine." Right?
That's interesting you say that because I bought a suitcase at one of these discount stores that we go to, and it was it was a good brand. And I opened it up when I got home, and the smell of it smelled like solvents was so strong. And I kind of had I'm just going to air it out. And then I brought it back in, and it still smelled bad. And then I aired it out some more. And just long story short, I thought, well, I'm going to put some clothes in there and see what happens. And I closed it up, and I opened them up, and the clothes then reeked of that chemical smell. And I thought, first off, I don't want to be exposing anybody to these fumes. And secondly, do I really want my clothes coming out covered with that chemical, and then it's going to be absorbed into my skin? So of course I took that back, but you're right.
I know. And it's such a hassle because I ordered it online and it came, but I was able to take it back to the brick and mortar store that, the big store that I bought it from. But I was thinking to myself,
what was it made of? Was it polypropylene?
Honestly, I don't even remember exactly what the chemicals were in it. Because I haven't had a problem with polypropylene rugs.
Well, no, I know, but I buy almost exclusively wool rugs, and I don't have that problem. I've not had the problem with that. So
you won't have that with a wool rug unless you have it coated with some sort of
but
chemical.
they could. So I'm just saying. So I'm not saying don't buy the polypropylene, but just be cautious.
Yeah.
Be cautious of where it's made, what the brand is.
Oh, it was all polyester, and then whatever, maybe they coated it with something. I don't know, but it was gross.
But I think you're more at danger if it's a polypropylene or polyester, like you said.
Oh, yeah. It just, there was just like giant warning. Almost like on a cartoon, like you could see like it almost like wafting off this rug.
No,
how bad it's
no. I'm just cringing.
I was thinking this. Remember, not too long ago. I guess I can't remember the last time I had a plastic shower curtain, but it wasn't that long ago.
Some of those.
And we would just open those up, and it just was what it was. They just smelled like.
Yes.
You were in a chemical factory, enclosed in a vat of chemicals, and it'd be like, oh, it's okay. Just unfold it and air it out, and you leave it. Meanwhile, you're getting in there, like practically wrapped in the saran wrap of it. What were we thinking?
Well, I have some friends that
used to it.
I have some friends that used to, when they were kids, ride their bicycles behind the mosquito truck, spraying the mosquito,
those friends are no longer with us. What?
They are, but they're a little crazy.
Oh my goodness.
When he told me that, it did explain a lot.
And that was fun?
Well, they thought it was cool, but they had no idea this stuff was poisonous.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I think when you're a kid, you think, oh yeah, it kills mosquitoes, but it's not going to kill people. But you think, well, it might not kill you, but it's not good for you.
Wow. That's crazy business. So anyway, yes, definitely, people are much more aware. Nobody's saying, hey, that's fine. Just let all those chemicals, eke out of your shower curtain and it'll be fine. In a couple of weeks, we'll all be fine. No, people aren't doing any of that anymore. We definitely are, we're speaking with our dollars, right? And people want to have things that are better for them. And, then you can, and at least be educated and say, okay, I can't afford this rug that costs this, and it's made of all these natural things, but I can afford this rug. So let me investigate and figure out, is this really that bad? Most of the time it's not that bad, but in the case of this rug I recently got, it was not going to be something I brought in my house.
Well, which also brings me to make sure you're dealing with really reputable companies that will take it back if there's a problem.
Right. So some of the fluffier trends, I made a reference to gray. So let's talk about color. Strong color is still here. We've been talking about it in 2019, colors coming on, but it's the pendulum. We were very neutral. We were very white.
Right. You knew it was coming.
It's coming. Right. So that's pretty predictable. Again, whatever you love. If you love your neutrals and you just went there, please don't worry about them going away. They're not going away. If you want to dip your toe into colors, add in some pops here and there. But heck, if you want to go with really bold colors and do what our friend Jen, who's from Tennessee, and she's on Instagram as High Contrast Home. She's a listener of Decorating Tips and Tricks. Jen, thank you for your emails. Your home is so incredibly inspiring to me. We had talked about Jen several podcasts ago about her dark blue master bedroom. And then she listened and reached out, and I got to see more picture. We got to see more pictures of her house, and you can see her on High Contrast Home on Instagram. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The way that this woman uses color is bold and beautiful. But in the colors, as Anita was saying, in general for 2020, it's kind of interesting. Definitely more natural colors of what people are talking about being the popular colors or the on-trend colors. So sort of the greens and the blues. Bear, Home Depot's paint color of the year is Back to Nature, was like a sagey green. But the blues we're seeing are not sort of these powdery, kind of like what you would almost like nondescript blues, or, kind of your grandma's blues. No, they're definitely got more punch to them, or they're kind of dulled down, almost like Wedgwoody. Like they're interesting blues. They've got nice blue, a personality to them. But then here comes Benjamin Moore and their color of the year. It's lovely, but it's called First Light, and it's kind of a version of millennial pink. Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
Yeah. Well, have you heard about the Deluxe color of the year, Tranquil Dawn?
No, I haven't.
So that is a serene, soft green with a gray undertone. So the greens are in this year, apparently. But, blue was so big, so it doesn't surprise me that they've shifted to green.
Yes. And it keeps, obviously, the green movement that we talked about. Something other that's sort of a bigger trend that's going on. I think people in general just have the desire to sort of freshen it up. Like, kind of kick out the cobwebs, clear it out. Maybe there's like an overall less is more in a sense kind of trend. I think that's, you might see a lot of maximalist decor in some of the magazines, but again, that's kind of like the runway. But I think for everyday living, I think a lot of people are desiring to sort of freshen up, change it up a little bit, tweak here and there, and just generally have like a cleaner look.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. I'm seeing several things for 2020 that are the same as they were for 2019. So, for example, your marble, still hot. I'm not surprised. I think that's going to go for a while. And the mixed metals still in. But I think that marble is going to stay popular for quite a while. And the mixed metals. I just don't see it going back to it has to all be the same metal. I mean, once you've opened Pandora's box, it's hard to, close it back up. People love the freedom of being able to mix in whatever they want. And I think they're not going to go back on that one.
Yeah, I agree. And also, if you see a trend coming and it's a newer concept, it's no surprise that it takes a little while to really sort of gain some momentum. So, if you're looking at a trend from 2011 compared to 2020, you're going to see some big differences. But from year to year, there's definitely going to be some overlap and some continuation. In a sense.
Right. Some last just a month. Yes. Some last a year and some last 5 or 10 years.
That's true. Some never really take off. And there's which one we talked about last year, which is, people were saying that Art Deco was going to come on really hard. Well, I don't think that's really happened.
Yeah. Hashtag eye roll. Yeah.
Yeah. But we are seeing these curvy sofas, which could be sort of thought of as Art Deco, but it also could be sort of pop arty, depending on the color that you get it in. But particularly in velvet.
But that's part of that whole curvy thing. Everything's got curves. It's all round. I'm seeing that not just in furniture, but that's just something I think that's going to be happening in a big way this year coming up.
But it's hard. Well, maybe it's part of the organic thing. Like I always say to people, if you can add a round mirror somewhere, that's a good idea because there's so many linear lines in houses. There's things are rectangles and squares, and tiles are usually rectangles or squares, and furniture and walls and all that. So maybe it's part of this or natural organic. It is a nice organic shape at the circle and the curves maybe. But I think that these curvy pieces of major furniture are very hard to deal with. Unless you've got room to really be off the wall or sort of standing in the middle of the room. Like I could picture it in certain spaces where it would look phenomenal. But in an average home, I think a curvy sofa that's very a lot of them are very sexy looking, kind of, as sexy as a sofa can be. I'm not sure they're going to be working for too many looks.
Well, that's interesting, Kelly. I have the same feeling about the curvy sofas, the serpentine ones. I think they're a little off and not very practical. And I don't think they're going to hold for someone who has lots of money to burn. I think go for it. But I don't see this staying in style for very long. So I think it's a lot of money for something that's not going to be in style for a long time. However, there are a lot of curvy chairs that I think will be in style for a lot longer. So if you want to go for the curves, I'm going to suggest that you go for the curvy chairs rather than the curvy sofa.
Okay. I found 2 curvy sofas just in case somebody thought, well, what does this curvy sofa look like, sort of thing. And 2 very different price points. So there's one called the Hewitt from Wayfair, and that is a blue velvet, and it's $823. And then there's a emerald green one from Anthropologie, which is $2,800. So definitely big difference in price. Have a look if you're not sure what it's all about and you're just dying to put in a real statement piece as your sofa. Have a look and see. But it's definitely one of those trends that will be dated.
Mm-hmm. An interesting thing I saw was caning is coming back in, which is kind of surprising to me. Some people are calling it Vienna straw, but this is something that was popular 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 200 years ago. So I'm kind of surprised to see that coming back. It's not great for a chair seat because it doesn't hold up real well. I have a lot of chairs that have caning in the back of the seat, some in the seat where you sit, and some in the back. But I've also seen some headboards that have caning in them. And as much as I love it, it's really delicate and it's not going to hold up as well as a lot of other materials. So I'm not sure this one's going to last. But anyway, I'm seeing it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that either. What I also don't know about is asymmetrical mirrors. I saw this and I just thought, oh, no, this is bad. I would not like to look at those. Asymmetry kind of makes me twitch a little. It is important. It needs to be in a room, but
I'd have to see it
in one item. I don't like that.
Yeah, that doesn't really sound.
It's like you picture a mirror with a frame that would go around it, but on like one side, the frame is the actual frame is kind of just almost like freeform or kind of blobby on one side. There's more of it, and then it's thin on the other side. Like
I don't think I could use that to do my hair because then it would always feel like it's out of balance or something. I feel like, no, it's thicker on one side than the other. No, wait a minute, it's the mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not my hair.
Yeah, I didn't like any of those. I think that's almost like bordering on silly. Something that's fun that's coming back, and I would think of it kind of as, the textured wall art. It'll probably be around longer than I want to see it. But then again, it was around when people were listening to Carole King's Tapestry album too,
Yeah.
And so it's the peacock headboard is now, kind of poking around again. They've got it at World Market for a certain price. They've got it at Serena and Lily at a certain price times X. If you find one at a thrift store and you want to spray it white or something like that for, a fun girls' room or a guest room or a summer house, why not? And I honestly think it is just, it's been around and come back so many times that I think it probably would last the test of trend test, if you would.
Right.
If you like it, grab one and leave it for a couple of years. I don't think you have to shush it out the door right away at the end of 2020, but apparently they're back.
Well, I think this is making a comeback, but kind of in a dipping its toe in the water sort of way. And that is animal prints. Those were so hot.
I think they're classic.
I do too. Now they were super hot, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, but now they're coming back and I'm loving seeing them because I think they are so fun. And, now I'm seeing them in fresh ways in different colors, maybe a leopard print in blue or pink. And so I think this is a fun way to add some personality to a room. And, the other thing I'm seeing with the animal prints are the big florals and, like you said, the bold colors. So big splashy prints, making a kind of a splashy introduction. And I think this is, like you said, it's a change because of all the neutrals and solid colors. Now, when it swings one way, then it swings the other way. So it makes sense that now we're into the bold colors and the splashy prints.
Right. You were talking about metals as well, and I wanted to mention gold. Gold is here, not in the same brassy sort of way that it was in the 80s, but gold is definitely here, and I think it's going to stay for a long time. We saw it last year, and it adds warmth like no other metal can, and I think this creating a sanctuary, the whole idea of sort of, like creating this coziness and welcoming atmosphere at home. I think gold really helps you do that, whether you pair it with neutrals or you pair it with black for a little bit more of a luxe warmth, a little flash with your warmth kind of thing. I think gold really can work sort of across all palettes. And there are so many different tonations of gold. I mean, you sort of like silver is kind of silver. Would you agree? But gold can sort of have a lot of different personalities based on the tones.
Mm-hmm. I love gold. I think it's just kind of like you need a little black in every room. And I think a little bit of gold is nice in every room.
And for me, the combination of the gold and the black in every room, yum. Another, and jumping off that point is, we had chippy, rustic chalk paint, all that, like almost to the point where I was kind of gagging on chalk paint.
A little too much, yeah.
Yeah, for so long. Wasn't it a long time? And that was just time for that to end. And I think it now has really ended.
Well,
what do you think?
It went with the demise of the farmhouse style. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I think farmhouse,
real farmhouse, I think it's still in style. I agree, but it's the faux farmhouse stuff.
The faux farmhouse, but also the whole mass-produced idea,
the shiplap, unless it's real shiplap. Yeah.
Okay. But the farmhouse sort of grew out of, in my opinion, the chippy, the rusty, the patinaed, the barn wood, the galvanized, all of that. Okay. So I think and it was almost like, it almost had like some dried flowers thrown in there too. Like that was a long time ago. Right. And then the farmhouse sort of became, as we're progressing now, I think the farmhouse has become now this modern farmhouse, which is cleaner lines,
right.
Simple, cleaner, has some black, has some this. It has woods with character, but it's not like there's paint chipping off everything purposefully, like you painted something to then rub it back off. I think all of that's over.
I think it's tastefully done a little bit. I think is fine, but I just I don't think the whole room. And I think and I do like at least one painted piece of furniture in a room. So I think there's nice to have painted furniture, but yes, the overly distressed, I think that's out, and a whole room full of distressed, a whole room full of painted furniture. I think that has had its day.
Okay. Put a fork in it, as you say. Ochre, mustard, burnt yellow, sunflower. I talked about this last year and it's still here. So if you dipped your toe into those sort of sunny colors, those really warm colors, which look great with gold and black, keep waving that flag, because that's still here this year. It's an easy color. It goes with a lot of different palettes. It looks fabulous with navy. It looks great with black. It's a great pop in neutrals. It's fun in the summertime. It can slide into fall. So I think it's an easy color to live with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did we mention velvet is still in? You kind of hinted at it, talking about the velvet sofas. So I think the velvet is still going to be around, like a few of these other things we mentioned, like the marble and the mixed metals. And another thing I am seeing in new homes are these newer styled contemporary fireplaces. So I think there's been a major shift in the way fireplaces are put in new homes. And I think that's going to stick.
Yeah, they can be so cool. I love my traditional fireplace, and, we get a lot of questions about fireplaces. So many times they're brick and it's just this monstrosity in your room, and should we paint it and blah, blah, blah. But if you are doing a new build or you're knocking a wall down or something, so cool. Like, and you can see them, they're low profile, they may be long. You can see them from two different sides. Like, they are so cool these days. So that's really interesting element.
Well, and it's fun to see something besides the red brick fireplace has been done to death.
Yeah.
I mean, for a while there, everybody's fireplace looked so much alike. So I think that's the fun thing that's going on now, is that there is a lot more variety in what the fireplaces look like. And I think anytime you're adding variety and you're mixing it up where not everything is not exactly the same, I think that's usually a good thing.
Touche. I think so too. Do you have any more trends that you saw coming down the track?
Just kind of bringing nature in, I think, in general. And then I'm seeing this eclectic boho chic, which isn't matchy-matchy, that uses kind of a complementary color palette, mix and match, and very much the wabi-sabi imperfect. So it's kind of about relaxing and not putting on a show, which kind of links into what you and I had both said earlier.
Gosh, good forecasters. Our crystal balls, let's see how they turn out, So as far as crushes today, I have one, and I had mentioned to you that I was going to this clothing swap party. And
that's right. You did mention it.
I'm crushing on these. I'm dying for another invitation to one. So I didn't. So I got this invitation from a girl that I sort of, I've known for a long time, but I don't know her super well. And a good friend of mine was going to. So, but I didn't know any of the other women that were coming. And I certainly wasn't going to say, well, what size does everybody wear? Like, is it worth my time?
Yeah, I was going to say, did anybody have your size there?
Yes. She had, but she really only had, I would say maybe 10 women, 8 to 10 women. It wasn't, but there were people in all various sizes. But the thing was, people had brought things in their closet that maybe, fit them this, 5 years ago. And
I assume these are nicer things. These aren't just like, an old t-shirt.
Of course. Right. So, I mean, it's kind of like, you weren't going to bring, the stuff that you would take to Goodwill. No. So I spent a good amount of time cleaning out my closet right when I got invited. And so, it was interesting because it was the stuff that I would take off the, the rack or the hanger. And I would look and I'd be like, that's like too good to give away. I'll probably won't wear it again this year, but I'm putting it back in my closet anyway. So it freed me up to select things like that because I knew it'd be going somewhere good. Plus I knew, hey, I don't want to walk in there with a bag full of junk. And I'm going to be the lucky recipient, most likely, of some nice things too. So I wanted to bring nice things. So I brought like 6 items. I've never been to one of these before, but this had really no rules. It was just like, come with your bag. I asked, is there a certain number? No, bring what you want. Some girls brought like 3 things. Other girls brought a trunk full. So I guess it was, where you were in your purging. And as I said, I really didn't know any of these women except for the host and one other friend, but I met a bunch of nice girls. In fact, I met somebody who's already texted me and we're going to try to have coffee together. So that was fun. So I made a new friend. And she just had one. You were told to bring your things on hangers or bring hangers with you. So I brought some hangers, another good recycle of if you have wire hangers or dry cleaner hangers, that sort of thing. So she had a couple of racks and you just came in, you hung the stuff up. She did jeans and things like that folded on her dining room table. Was there any fighting over popular items? No, everybody was very civilized. And that might've been because it was kind of like, not everybody
there probably
knew
wasn't
each other.
Enough wine.
There was definitely wine. I don't go out at night if there's not wine. So there was wine. And she just
now we know.
Simple nibbles. I think everyone knew that. Simple nibbles. She didn't have to do anything elaborate. So I'm sure if you Google this, which I didn't, but there's probably.
And what's it called again?
A clothing swap.
A clothing.
So I'm sure if you Google it, and I'm sure people do this for little kids. I know, in fact, people do this for little kids, but this is the first time
for kids.
Yeah,
wow.
That I had experienced this for, adult women. I scored, you guys. I was almost embarrassed of the riches that I scored. I went home with like 5 or 6 items, gorgeous sweaters. This cute little tank top that was so tiny. So I took that for Ava. So great. I was so a dress even. It was great. I've actually worn a couple of things already. So such a fun night. And, everybody really seemed to enjoy it. And it seems like everybody was leaving with treasures and it was just so fun.
Wow. Well, that's
I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Go ahead. Clean out your closet. Then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor. And I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months.
Oh, okay. And as I started to say, I'm sure if you Googled it, there's probably, somebody's done one of these and they have a lot of rules, and maybe you even, put in, or you purposely ask people or who have the same size. This was just very casual.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's very nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, my crush is the Netflix series. They have so many fun series on old homes in England, or maybe on the Tsars of Russia, or just different historical things. And I enjoyed this so much. This particular show I saw was on Althorpe and the Spencers. Lady Diana, Princess Diana, she was a Spencer, and Charles, her brother, is the current Earl Spencer, and he inherited the family home. But it's full of history. The house has been around for hundreds of years, and so he kind of gave a tour of the house, talked about the history of it, the artwork in it, and kind of all the interesting characters in his family history, which there's quite a few that I had read about previously. So it was very fascinating. If you love history and you love interiors, I think you would enjoy it. And, it's free if you have Netflix. It's included.
And what's it called?
Secrets of Althorpe.
Secrets of Althorpe. Okay, good one. Okay, today we have tips, 2 tips on paint colors from our longtime listener, Ashley. Ashley is of House Candy Home Staging. And, Ashley, I think, sort of started her business when she was listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks.
Oh, yes.
Too. So Ashley's been around with us for a while, and she listened to one of our recent paint episodes, and she said, "Girlfriend, I got some colors for you." So Ashley has used these colors in her home staging, and so she has firsthand knowledge of them. Yarn by Magnolia Home, and you can get that at your Ace hardware stores. I have a new Ace hardware store near me. I went in where my my beloved Osh closed, but I haven't been in there yet, so I guess they carry the Magnolia line. Yarn is a soft gray, and Ashley said it is really beautiful. Also stays true to the grays. And this other one is very interesting. It's a navy/black. So it's a very dark navy, and it's called Inkwell by Sherman Williams.
Oh, interesting.
And she used that recently in a home, and to wow effect, apparently. Yeah. I was thinking about your imaginary study in that dark color.
I know. I really want to do that. But you know what? Yeah, we may need to do some paint here soon. So I know. But yeah, I know. I'm thinking.
That could be fun.
I agree. Well, this was so fun today. Remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.